Hi guys, I'm Asher. Today we'll continue talking about what happened after season 4. I will relate a scene in which Belle and Velf went for a leisurely stroll through the city, but Belle unexpectedly encountered a person from his past. I will also tell some interesting details about the current state of the Hestia Familia after the expedition to the deep floors. And finally, to complete the video, I will relate a funny story about Aina. By the way, as a precaution, I have created a secondary channel, so please subscribe to that channel as well. Also, if you like my videos and want to help the channel, you can do it on Patreon or by becoming a member here on YouTube. The links will be in the description. But well, without anything else to say, let's get started. After Hestia updated Belle's status, the boy decided to go for a leisurely walk with his friend Velf. After having been for so long in the deep floors of the dungeon, Belle longed to bask in the sun while taking a stroll around the city. Velf had finished repairing the family's weapons, so he had some free time. Lily also wanted to go with them, but she had to go to deliver the report about the expedition to the guild. On Lily's advice, the Hestia Familia did not inform the guild of all the details of the expedition. This was in order to avoid being promoted in rank. If the guild knew that the Hestia Familia had reached the deep dungeon floors, they would surely assign them much more difficult missions in the future. Although the reality was that they had only been able to survive, thanks to the help of Aisha and Ryu. In fact, due to the incident with the moss, they were unable to gather the loot that was the main objective of their mission. Therefore, the mission was considered a failure and the Hestia Familia had to pay a fine. In other words, they were again in the red, but that way they would remain a mid-level faction for a little longer. As Belle and Velf continued their walk through the city, Velf was a little concerned, as lately he had noticed Belle waking up startled in the middle of the night. So he asked him about it. Belle confessed to him that he had trouble sleeping since he had returned from the dungeon. This was because during his stay in the deep dungeon floors he had become accustomed to taking only short naps and always being on the lookout for monsters. Belle also confessed that Haruhime used to go to his room every time he woke up in the middle of the night to check on him. Apparently, during her stay in the night district she had been taught to be very sensitive to whether a client was not sleeping well. So she used to hold Belle's hand until he fell asleep again, and if that didn't work, they would end up reading heroic stories together. To Belle, Haruhime was like the older sister he never had. It was a pleasant feeling for him. As Belle told him all this, his face was burning with embarrassment. Velf was somewhat surprised, but in the end he advised his friend never to tell Hestia or Lily about Haruhime's late-night visits. Belle just nodded in agreement. As they continued to stroll through the city, several citizens recognized Belle and greeted him warmly. They were worried to see him with a wounded arm, so they offered him food and gave him words of encouragement. In addition, several gods who were in the area expressed regret for having refused to accept Belle into their families in the past, when the boy had just arrived in Arario. While Velf teased him a little, Belle didn't know how to feel about it. He was happy and confused at the same time. After all, it had not been long since the dramatic incident with the Xenas, for which Belle had to endure the hatred and contempt of the citizens. He was simply overwhelmed by the drastic change in people's treatment of him. Certainly, Belle had been through a lot of dramatic situations in a very short period of time, but it was only now that he began to realize it. As the boy was deep in thought, he suddenly heard a voice that sounded familiar. It was then that Belle saw a black-haired man who had helped him in the past by giving him food. The two exchanged glances. Belle froze in place, not knowing what to say to him. Soon after, the black-haired man tried to run away, but Belle came back to his senses and shouted, "Thank you for the rye bread." The man was speechless for a moment, but then he smiled slightly and said, "Look at you. You've really gone and turned into an upper-class adventurer. And you're just the same as ever. Far as I can tell anyway." Finally, despite his nervousness, the man gave words of encouragement to the smiling Belle and then ran off. The fact that this particular man also supported him made Belle feel very happy. The unexpected reunion with the man was a special moment for Belle. It was a fleeting reminder of his past. At that time he did not yet know Hestia, he had just arrived in Arario and did not know the difference between up and down. Back then Belle was caught between his own hopes and fears. The boy looked up at the beautiful blue sky as he was immersed in the memories of the past. The city of Arario has it all. There are attractive young girls, those elves you like so much, goddesses with voluptuous figures, and of course, even your soulmate. If you've an urge to go, then go. That's what his grandfather had told him. Back then, Belle could only cling to his dreams while holding a book of fairy tales. If you play your cards right, riches and fame could be yours too. But once you set foot there, like it or not, you'll be drawn into the ebb and flow of history. That's just the kind of place it is. But, that's exactly what gives you the chance to be a hero. So, if you're ready, go. I'll say only this, don't compromise yourself for anyone. Not for a spirit, nor for a god. Don't blindly obey, decide for yourself. This is your story. Belle remembered his grandfather's words very well. Even though his grandfather was no longer alive, Belle knew those memories would still be with him in the future. Hey, Belle-kun. Tonight. I was wondering, if you would like us to have dinner together. Aina went down and invited the boy to dinner. Before the expedition to the lower floors that the Hestia Familia was preparing for. At the time when they finished their classes on the dungeon that were held at the headquarters of the guild. When Aina threw her voice to his back while he was returning his book. Belle turned around looking curious. Now? However, it is quite late. Oh. Well, that's why I said it. Since it's so late today, I thought I'd end up having dinner alone. Yes. It's just that, do you understand? I have no other hidden intention after all. As she seemed to die of agony at her own excuses, Aina blushed. Seriously, it's not that I have something to feel remorse for. Simply, it is today's classes are lengthened and if taking this opportunity I can have dinner with Belle-kun, that would make me very happy. And more than anything else, recently the sound of my chest also does not calm down for a long time. I feel that if we have this date imitation it will calm down a little. While she piled those words from her heart looking at him with her emerald eyes, Belle placed his hand on his own neck. I'm sorry, Aina. I didn't realize. So, let's go? Really? Yes. It is my fault that this was extended too much. Also, consider this as my thanks for everything until now. Please let me accept your invitation. It seemed an apology, but seeing Belle smile a little embarrassed, Aina gave him a big yes. Later, at the hostess of fertility. Well, it's the first time we drink with someone from the guild in this way, isn't it? So it is. Although Belle-sama is in your care, there was no opportunity like this, was it not so? Fufu, thank you very much for always choosing our store, Belle-san. For the sake of Aina who would spend a lonely night, Belle called Velf and Lily who were free of the preparations and were surrounding a table with a lot of people having fun around him happily. The person who was carrying his orders was a smiling seer in her waitress outfit. It's like that, right? Belle-kun, you're very kind, aren't you? Aina-san? In front of Aina who forced a smile while holding back her tears, Belle just got confused. So, what were you two doing alone? So, what were the two of them planning to do alone? Asked Lily and Seer with a big smiles. Aina could only turn her face away blushing. And well, that was all for today. I hope you liked the video. If you liked it, please leave a thumbs up, share the video and leave your opinion in the comments. I'll be reading them. Also join Discord, there we can talk about DanMachi and even other animes. The link is in the description. Thanks for the support, and see you next time.